to begin with, I thought this would be more of a think tank because I'm sure a lot of people have questions, and we can find out, we can compare notes, find out what everybody has learned through the summer in order to help us go forward. But there is no official guidance from the Wyoming State Library as far as school libraries because of the Department of Ed's Smart Start Guide, which leaves everything up to individual districts. I did, however, put a page in the school library handbook, and I'll put, we don't have chat, but if you're interested, I can send you the link to that. It's on the WSL website under services and for school librarians. But there's a COVID-19 page on that, and it has a link to the Smart Start Guide, which I know you're all familiar with, but it also has a few different reopening plans, one from Jennison. I know she had sent that out on the listserv, and also some from other states, like Pennsylvania has a good one. Wisconsin has a very, very comprehensive one that's really nice. And then some other resources from ALA, AASL, and then the Realm Project for what to do with materials, how long to quarantine different types of materials. And then the Wyoming Information Sharing Platform is linked there as well, so you can keep an eye on the COVID cases. But I tried to keep it pretty simple because with all of the links and stuff, just like when lockdown happened in the spring, there were so many resources coming at us from every direction. So I didn't put everything that I have there, but it is there if you need. And I'm hoping that this will also kind of shed some light on what we plan to do, what you plan to do. I don't have to worry about reopening in that sense, but so that's where this is coming from. So if anyone wants to share anything, hey, you know what? Since everyone's a panelist, I think you can see the chat box, can you not? Excellent. Okay, I need to let some people in.
I moved mine because our pictures took up the whole screen, so I'm not sure how to.
There should be a little arrow. Do you see an arrow on the side? A slider box? For those who are just joining us. Yeah, for those just joining us, I am making everybody a panelist so that we have webcam capability. Next time I will use GoToMeeting. But for now, hey, Jen.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, good. Okay. And I did put the link to the school library handbook in the chat box. Hey, Jennison.
Hello.
And anybody else? Oh, hi, Lori. Anybody else I can't see? Hi to you. But yes, for those of you that missed out, there is no official school library guidance from the Wyoming State Library because the WDE has their Smart Start Guide, which leaves it up to the individual districts. And Jennison, I did put a shout out for your reopening plan. That is also listed in the COVID page of the school library handbook, and there are some other links there as well. For other states' reopening plans, some states can have official guidance because their state library is part of their Department of Ed. We are not, we're a separate entity. So we are leaving the official guidance up to them, and then whatever your districts are doing, you need to work within those confines. So, but other than that, I was hoping this would be more of a think tank type thing. So I'd like to hear what you are doing individually in your districts, and Also, what you're doing as far as marketing your school library services to teachers.
I
For
know
me,
you, but I don't know who everybody is. So if you're talking and you can say where you're from, that'd be awesome.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'm
okay,
Paige. I'm from
so
the state
I'm
library.
Jenny, and I'm from Casper, the Natrona County School District, and we have word that we have to quarantine the books for 3 days, and then we can put them on the shelf, but we're not allowed to have any helpers. It just needs to be the adults that are putting them away. And then we sanitize hands when they come into the library and when they go out. And then I think that was it. Devin, did I forget anything?
No, that sounds good. Right,
Thank you.
it's building by building here. It's
Mhm.
on a loose web, so.
Oh, and as far as promoting, I'm just going to keep doing what I've always done and even try to push for the library more, since I haven't heard of any like regulations for me inside my building.
Okay, so you guys are going back face to face during the tier 1 opening? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
You don't have any mask wearing in place?
Yeah, we do have to wear the masks if they can't be 6 feet apart, which of course in the library they won't be. I did hear a good little trick though, that if they're gonna read with a friend, or they want to sit by a friend, then they can go feet to feet, and then that would be 6 feet apart, or pretty close to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're elementary, right?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Thanks, Jenny. That's good to know. And I think a lot of
You're
people are
welcome.
going to be kind of in the same boat. Anybody else want to share what they're doing so far?
I guess I can share. I just sent a big email to my staff telling them what I'm doing. And Jennison, by the way, thanks for your plan. I tweaked it and sent it to my principal. He's like, whoa, this is really comprehensive. I'm like, yes, it was Jennison. I gave you credit. It wasn't me.
I give Allison Mackley from Pennsylvania a lot of credit for that plan too.
Awesome. Thank you. It made me look good. We're kind of like Casper, I guess. You know, if they can't be 6 feet apart, they have to wear masks. I don't know. They should just say wear masks, because that's going to be disaster. You know, how are you going to figure out when they are, when they aren't? I also met at elementary in Sundance, 200 kids. You know, they'll be taking them on and off, and they'll be switching masks, and that's crazy. So I got permission. I have a pretty little library and lab anyway, so anywhere in my area, they have to wear masks. Everybody who comes in just has to wear masks all the time, which I feel much better about. I was worried. I don't want to be around people without masks. So, and I put signs up by the state library, has those great mask wearing posters. So I offered them up to my staff, and thank you if that was part you, Paige. And I
No,
put
that
some
was
of,
not me, but I'll let the team know.
they were good posters, and they kind of just fit schools.
Yeah.
So, but there's been a lot of little things that I keep having to ask about. Like, I have this little kiosk out front where kids can leave a book and take a book. Well, that's gone for the year because I can't monitor it good enough. We too have the sanitizing coming and going. I don't know if this is good enough, but my school's fine with it. I'm doing what our public is doing. So the books come back in a bin, and then after school, I'll sanitize all the covers and let them sit out overnight, and then put them back the next day. And I hope that's good enough, because man, that's going to be kind of an organizational nightmare to let them sit for 3 days, and then you have other books coming in the next day, and then where did those books go? And oh my God. So I hope if I sanitize the covers, I'm okay. I'm thinking of not doing shelf markers, because it's one more thing to sanitize. I don't know if you guys are thinking about, I'm thinking headphones in the lab because it's one more thing to sanitize. My kids are going to take turns sanitizing computers in the lab. Like I teach typing and I have like 5 classes with no time in between in the afternoons. There's no way I can do it. So my principal and I decided there'd be a couple kids assigned every week, and it's their job to wipe chairs and the keyboards at the end of each class. So those are most of the things I've thought of so far.
Yeah, sounds good. On top of everything else that you have to think about, the normal stuff.
It's a little more stressful this year.
Yeah. Are you planning to offer masks for those students that maybe lost theirs on the playground or,
Sent out the masks, so I know we're, like everybody, we're offering those up.
Okay.
Oh, and I will say my district bought face shields for everybody. They're supposed to be in by next week, and I don't mind wearing a mask. And in fact, I bought a variety. I thought I would try to make it like a cool thing. So I got some Harry Potter masks, and I got Simba. And I thought I'd wear different ones every day to try to talk them up. But for reading to little kids, awesome. I love that too.
Yeah, nice, Jennison.
That's
If you
a good
can't see Jennison's mask, she has a date due card mask. The fabric that shows it's like the date due card and the old school ones, the paper ones.
But I thought for at least for reading picture books, I want my facial expression to be there. And so I'm gonna try the face shield at least when I read to the little kids. I don't know about reading novels to the big kids if I'll use it, but I'm lucky enough my district bought those. So
Nice. Okay.
I convinced my district that they needed to buy me extra book carts so that we would have one, so that we would put the ones that come back today, I'll go on this cart with a Post-it note of what day they can be shelved, and then the next day. So we have at least 4 at every school. And they're also purchasing the shields for the counters for the checkout desks.
oh, good. We don't have that.
But we are requiring masks in our areas, and they'll have to sanitize before they search for books. I'm really hoping that sanitizing your hands before you look for books will be enough to not have to take everything that they've touched off the shelf to quarantine, which is what they are doing at the public library, that if it's been touched, it has to go into quarantine.
Yeah.
But
What about
they don't
kids
have as much chance to make them do the hand sanitizer as they walk in.
What about kids who come in and, they have a cold, they have a cough, or they sneeze while they're in the library? Are they going to be required to?
We'll ask them to get a squirt of hand sanitizer, but with all luck, that's going to end up in their neck gaiter or their mask.
They're a little bit.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, you froze.
I mean, if they just have sniffles and stuff, which happens all the time, they're not sending them home. We've been told, so.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get that. I mean, it's.
Unless they're like hacking up a lung, then I'm sending them to the nurse.
Right.
Yeah. So are any of your schools doing like temperature checks?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that something that's supposed to be done at home?
Yes. At school we are doing.
My school for 1,400 kids bought 3 automatic temperature checkers that they're supposed to use every morning, which I think is silly. It's just going to bunch the kids up so they're all stuck next to each other and can pass it while they're in line. And if they have a temperature, they've already been shedding the virus for 2 or 3 days. So I think it'll last about 2 weeks before people are like, we can't get 1,400 kids checked at 3 temperature check stations in the morning every day. It's not going to work. So, but that's the plan. You just stand in front of it and it, ding, you either get a green or a red.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jennifer, are they going to be wearing masks? You're in a big high school. What are they doing?
So they've been saying as long as you can socially distance 6 feet, which
That's what my high school's saying. I'm like, there's no,
You,
that's not gonna
you
work.
have to wear a mask, but we did send in a library plan and they just finally reviewed it today. And we did it for secondary and then a separate one for elementary. And we said it's a communal space. Like I have well over 300 people a day walk through my space and they're not all repeats. So I said I want masks for everybody because it's a communal space. And so there's just too many people in that. And that went through. We wanted to quarantine books for 4 days because the Realm Project study has found that there's still virus on slick pages after 4 days, but they told us 24 hours is enough. And I thought, okay, don't really know what to do. And then we also said that we all wanted masks. We are supposed to get the plexiglass, but there's a shortage, so that hasn't come in. We have something called H2 orange sanitizer that we're supposed to run around sanitizing stuff with. And my tech and I will do that. And then we have 2 photocopiers in our library, so we're hoping they'll put a bottle by each of those so the teachers can do those. And then hand sanitize before they touch anything. Reminder sanitize signs above the magazines and the newspapers. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I do have areas in my library where if a kid's walking in on an off hour, they can sit down and they might not be anywhere near anybody else. But the virus builds up in that space through the day, and I don't have any windows that open. So I just get to hang out with their leftover shed particles. So I want them in masks, whether they can be 6 feet away from somebody or not. We'll see how much of a fight that becomes. But our principal has sounded like he's going to really be strong on that. He said, we'll work with kids to some extent, but there will come a time when this is a safety issue. You have to have it on. If you don't want to have it on, we're offering virtual school. So we've had about 1,200 kids enroll in virtual school.
Wow.
Out of
One of my friends did
14,000.
a job in Cheyenne doing that, and I was kind of curious how many kids were enrolling. If they, like, she's totally got a new job in Cheyenne at a grade school as a virtual school teacher. So, interesting.
Yeah, they're still right at this moment shifting staff around, and they surveyed parents, and there was like 800 kids that they thought, I think, and so I think it's more interest than they thought. They just at a school board meeting on Monday pushed back the kids' start date by 5 days, not ours. And we had 5 extra days built in, so it won't extend the school year calendar. But I think those virtual school people need it just as much as the regular building people do to really prep. So yeah, definitely interesting year. And I am worried, Kathy, about counter space for quarantining books. Like, how do you like keep shifting them? And we don't know if we'll get student assistants this year. I don't know if they'll let us have them or not.
I'm not going to use the kids. I usually use the kids to help, but I figured I better not. But I'm at a small school though, so it's probably a lot easier for me than some of you big schools.
Well, we also got dropped on us last week that the secondary librarians are the ones who get to circulate the 10,000 iPads that they bought.
Oh God.
So, and at the junior highs, they're alone. There's no techs anymore at our junior highs, and they have schools of about 800. So I'm not quite sure how they're supposed to watch iPads. And when kids come in with issues, get them a new iPad, watch the collection, teach classes. I was like, and some of them don't really have locking spaces to put the iPads. Just like, let's just layer on the stress.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like everyone's kind of got some idea of what they're doing, but also without any clear. I'm hearing an echo of myself when I'm talking.
I'm hearing it too.
So it's off-putting, but it sounds like everyone has some idea of what they're doing, but nothing for sure. And we all know it's going to change as you go into the school year. You know, I think it's 5 schools nationwide that have already shut down. So from opening, they opened and have already shut down. So
We've
Oh.
got 250,000 people in our area from all over the US right now. And when they leave, I have no idea what's going to happen. I can tell you that a lot of people I know, they're mixing down with those people. None of them wear masks. Our restaurants are open like normal. I don't have high hopes.
And they're going to spread back out all over.
Right. And then we're going to be on the national news. You watch in like 2 weeks. We aren't on the national news.
Well, our district also radically changed our high school schedule. It was a huge fight. I've listened to 15 hours worth of board meetings in the last 2 weeks. So they went from an A-B block schedule to a 4x4 block. So the kids will have 4 classes that they go to every day first semester, and then 4 classes they go to every day second semester. And that was to limit the number of cohorts that they mix with. But they didn't change the junior high schedule at all. So they're still going to have 8 classes. But they also said, it was really hard when we went virtual and teachers had to keep up with 6 classes worth of kids, and the kids had 8 classes, all operating slightly differently. And so this will reduce the kids' load to either 3 or 4 and the teachers to 3 as well. But it was a big community issue for sure. It was just very, very contentious. And they promised it would be just for a year, but still really contentious. But I hope that will make things a little bit better at our really big schools. I wish they'd done it at junior high too. The junior high elective teachers in our district, the core teachers they have 5 cohorts and they see their kids every day, but our junior high elective teachers, it's a new schedule next year and they will have 10 cohorts. So if we go online, they will have 10 classes that they have to keep up with. I joked with somebody and I said, if I was still teaching Spanish in junior high, which is what I did before this job, my husband would make me quit for his mental sanity because he wouldn't be able to put up with me. So I feel for them. It's really kind of scary, I think.
Yeah.
Did anybody else have big changes like that come through, or extra delays in starts or anything?
We're trying to all do the same thing though this year, and so I'm curious what you guys are doing. We're doing Google Classroom, like everybody. My school just did Dojo, which some of you probably don't even know what that is if you're older kids. It was overwhelming for the parents though. They got all these different emails and they didn't even know which of their 3 kids in my school they were for. But I don't know. Google Classroom, I like Google. And we're using Clever, which is supposed to also kind of consolidate everything in one place that all the kids use. What are you guys doing?
We're going to be using Canvas this year. We're getting on board with that. And our kids K through 12 will be using Clever to log in. They started that during the shutdown in the spring. And it was, at my house where we have 2 tech literate adults, Clever was fantastic for Kenneth just being able to hold up a QR code and log onto his computer. Just that part was awesome. But we have moved back our start date. So students will start on the 31st. Our teachers come back next Tuesday on the 18th, and we will have 9 days of PD. Right at the beginning of the year, they took all of our PD days from throughout the year and put them right up front. So we'll have 3 official days to learn how to use Canvas. And then there's 4 of those days are built in for teachers to create their first month's worth of lessons in Canvas. And teachers are going to be expected to stay a month ahead so that if we turn around on a dime, we are ready to go. I know. And so for this year, I'm going to end up being the one who makes all of the elementary school lessons for library because they didn't choose to offer to pay my paras to come to the training. So it gets me back into teaching, except that I don't know any of the kids or how they will have done on the things or any of that. So I don't know how it's going to go.
In my area, all the South Dakota Black Hills schools have put off the start until like September 8th because they're waiting to see what's going to happen with the rally, but we're starting with normal, even though we are part of the rally. Is anyone else starting late?
Our kids are the 31st now instead of, I think it was the 24th. But we have some professional development, Jonathan, but then we also have some just pure planning days too. We're using ClassLink for single sign-on, and then we've been using Canvas for several years. So continuing with that. And I think the State Department of Education actually initially wanted every teacher to have 2 weeks ahead on Canvas, but it's just so hard. It's so hard. And then they're also, so in my district, they also have bought cameras that's supposed to follow the voice of the teacher. So if kids are out and quarantining but not actively sick, supposedly they'll be able to Zoom in and the teacher will be able to make that all work. And I'm thinking, the internet at my house, I just realized this year that we don't even meet the federal standard for high bandwidth, like broadband. We don't meet it. And we're in a new neighborhood in Cheyenne. So if people across town are trying to do this, we're going to break the internet in town. So I don't know how that's gonna work, because they also told teachers, oh, now you can't just pretend like you're teaching through Canvas because kids are coming back for a real life classroom experience, but have everything in Canvas. So I'm glad I'm not a classroom teacher.
I am too.
We are getting those cameras, some sort of camera set up so that we can remote kids in. We are not offering a virtual option. Although our district did just is this fall starting a virtual school that is separate from everything else. So kids would have to register in for that, but we're trying to.
Right?
What?
That's like Cheyenne, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, our virtual school is going to be the curriculum stuff from Florida Virtual, I think.
Oh.
And so teachers it'll be asynchronous. So some of our teachers who volunteer to do that will get a stipend for helping to do that teaching. But that's adding, like, you teach your regular stuff during the day, and then guess what? At night you have this other class. It'll be like a coaching assignment kind of thing, I guess, to help. There's only supposed to be 25 or 30 kids enrolled in that school, though. So I don't know how that's going to work for everybody, but they were looking at that before COVID too. So
at least they get a stipend.
Something called Edgenuity, and but they're going to teach using our curriculum. So I guess I don't know if they're taking their content and then reordering it to match. And they've told us that at each quarter, kids can choose to move back into regular in-person school, but they won't let them transfer at any time but at quarter. You can leave in-person school at any time, but you can only transfer back in at quarter so that they don't have people, I think, going back and forth all the time. They'll be interesting. I don't know. And they are thinking at elementary, they'll be able to assign people fully to be virtual teachers, but for high school, there might be some people who teach like 2 live Spanish classes and 2 online and stuff. So I can't imagine doing it on top of teaching a whole day right now.
Have any teachers reached out to you for resources or ideas or anything?
Not yet this year, but I did have one for summer school and then a ton last year.
Okay. So you think you can expect that to happen again this year?
Yes, and I am concerned because there was so much free last year. Some of those things have disappeared, and we're already having, can you make long way down a PDF so I can put it online? No. Like, no. We can give all students access to stuff that's been put through Kurzweil, right? Yeah, no, you cannot, no. And people were pretty forgiving in spring. I really don't think publishers and companies will be as forgiving now. And I think you'll get a cease and desist letter first, but they better take it seriously. It's going to be hard because so much of the free stuff is gone and we were using a lot of that.
Yeah.
Last spring, I had a second grade teacher use stuff, read aloud without asking, and I ended up just writing to the author, and she wrote right back and said, "Oh, sure, that's fine with me." And she was all interested what was going on in Wyoming, but really, I think it was up to her publisher, and so I don't know if we were really doing it right.
There was just an article in School Library Journal about a lot of the publishers extending that until December for the read aloud, the online read aloud stuff. I think they're going to end up in some serious trouble if they try to PDF the books and stuff like that, because those big publishers have taken the Internet Free Library to court.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can't just do that. But I've had a lot of counselors who have asked me for help. They're trying to get together resources and books that kids can read about mental illness and stuff like that. I think they're anticipating the social emotional issues. But the teachers aren't back yet, so most of them haven't talked to me about school. They don't want to think about it yet, I don't think. But as you can see, I'm in my school.
You know, one of the listservs I'm on offered a reading list for books about mental illness and especially for young children. But I'll dig that out and post that on the COVID-19 page because I think that'll be really important.
Hey,
So-
Paige, I cannot get that link to work that you put in the chat, and I don't know why, because it looks like you just copied and pasted it. But I tried to put it in.
Oh, my bad. Oh, you guys, I need to
And
do
it's-
webinars more often. I put it in twice. Sorry about that.
Well, that's what I wondered, and then, but it seems like when I saw it in my address bar, but it might have gotten confused. So, okay, thank you. I'll try that one.
Try it again. Yeah, try it again.
You guys, I envy you people that don't have to start. We start school Tuesday, and we've been in service, and we are so overwhelmed right now. I mean, we did use Canvas. We did. I mean, back when we went virtual in the spring, and I taught an algebra class, so at least I can help teachers somewhat with Canvas, but we're so overwhelmed with everything that I'm just finally like, let's just get the kids here because I think it'll be okay once they come.
Where are you from, Mary?
Goshen County from Torrington. And we lost our other two media specialists here, so I've now taken on 6 different buildings in our district. They did not rehire those positions. And I used to just be at our middle school, high school, which was together, it's about 700 and some kids. And so now I'm trying to train. They hired library assistants in all of the buildings. And so I've been training them for the last 2 days. I mean, some of them don't even know how to use Follett Destin yet. I'm like, we just have to know how to check out books right now and do some really basic things. But bless you all, because it's going to happen. And our high school principal, I just got out of meetings. I, kind of base out of the high school, and he says we're going to be lucky if we get through the first week. So we start school Tuesday. He said, make sure Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are getting our kids ready to go virtual, that they understand how to log into Canvas. We're using ClassLink. We're using all of that stuff. Our kids are all we're going one-to-one, the entire district. Kids will have laptops. Elementary kids eventually will have some kind of an Android. And I hope we don't, but and then I'm wondering, wow, I don't know. What happens to our libraries? What happens to reading? What happens to,
I tried to keep the checkout going last spring, but and I pushed it and pushed it. I made little videos of myself and put them on the website, and I emailed parents, and it was maybe 25 kids out of 200 kept checking out books. So it's very difficult.
We weren't allowed in our building, so we couldn't do that. That's why I made sure to put it in the plan this time. Mary, I put my email and phone number in the chat if you wanted to call me. We have that same setup in our district, that I'm the certified librarian and travel between the schools. So if you need to vent or
Denison,
get
I'll be calling.
suggestions, feel free to call. That goes for anybody in here. You can all write down my information. I'll try to help as much as I can.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jennison.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare, actually, Mary.
Yeah, you've been on our district page, you know.
Yeah, I used to do Lincoln and Trail school libraries.
And nobody could even do that well because they ran you guys ragged.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. What happened to Stacy? They just didn't rehire her?
no, she moved to Vegas. Her and Sean moved to Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Before
think
this
they
hit?
ran her out. I mean, I just think it's like all of you guys that have tried to do the elementary well here, that the support has not been there. And
It
so,
was overwhelming for sure. And the way they mixed classes, and it was a different schedule every week, and you didn't know who you were getting as far as students or classes. And yeah, combining one classroom with another classroom, but only half of each classroom, and then made one library class.
I've
Yeah,
been there and done that too.
yeah, it's insane. It is insane what some of these administrators try to do, just manipulate all kinds of schedules and people, and yeah, keep it simple. But
Hire certified librarians. Oh wait,
yes,
This
sorry.
is
I'll say that out loud.
our next legislative session with our money in Wyoming going down the tubes. I mean,
I'm
I
still
think it's
gonna
not
say
going
it's
to get
worth
better.
did you
I
ask
don't
a
know.
question, Kathy? I'm sorry, I missed part of that.
I was veering off into politics. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
You're talking about we need to hire more certified people. It's true, but I see funding getting much, much worse for all Wyoming in the next few years. I mean, our fossil fuel money is like totally going away, and we don't seem to want to do anything to replace it. We don't want to tax anything. They had this special session this summer that they didn't do anything. So, I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to be a downer. I have to vent to somebody.
All right, that's probably my fault.
hey, ladies, I've got to leave. I coach tennis, so I got to get to practice. But Paige, thank you so much for putting this together. You know, and some good contact people here. So that's awesome because right now I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole thing, and it's all going to happen. It'll be okay.
Okay. I hope to do another one of these a couple months down the road. We can see where we're all at. So stay tuned for that, Mary.
Perfect. All right. You ladies, be safe. Have a good year.
Ew.
Have a
Good luck.
Just start with the week. We'll figure it out from there. See ya.
Bye, Mary. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hopefully we won't all be at home, Paige.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say I'm not sorry that I'm not in the classroom right now, but I am here to support every one of you in any way that I can. So don't forget that either, because this is, wow, this is going to be something to tell your grandchildren. Oh, back in the pandemic of 2020. So it's some good stories coming out of here. Anyone that's not on the webcam but on the phone or on the mic, does anybody want to chime in what you're doing? I know sometimes it's just nice to listen and get ideas too. So, and also, if you're not on the school library listserv, let me know. We'll get you on there. And if you know librarians that you don't think are on the listserv, let us know. Let them know, and we can put them on the listserv if they're interested. But I think that's going to be a very important piece this coming year to keep connected. It's something that you don't have to go through me to send an email on the listserv. You can just hit school list, and you can put a shout out to anybody if you need ideas or if you're stuck, or again, if you just need to vent. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's see. Anything else? Again, the school library handbook does have a COVID-19 page. I'll try to add some reading lists, especially the one for mental illness, mental wellness, social emotional stories, things of that nature, to give you a hand with that. But other than that, I think that unless anyone has anything else that they want to. Oh, I do have another question. Mary mentioned that she's doing tennis, and since she was leaving, I didn't want to take up any more of her time to ask, but are any of your schools still doing sports, or have they canceled, or have they?
Full steam ahead.
Full steam.
Wow. Okay.
That was a state decision. I mean,
Oh,
I'm sure
was it?
districts could bow out, but
Although
Glad-
other clubs, like
kid graduated last year.
no other clubs are allowed to meet until at least October, but sports and like Wyoming High School Athletic Association sanctioned groups are allowed to meet, but nobody else is.
Huh. Okay. That's equitable.
I'm not going to say anything about that either.
No Spanish club, but football is fine.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They have limited page. They have limited like numbers of spectators and things, but in our newspaper today, it specifically said one of the reasons Mark Gordon increased the number of people at outdoor events was because of high school sports.
Huh.
But they do have, I mean, there shouldn't be full stands and everything. My concern is the kids being on the bus for several hours, and then, let's just mix people from across the state and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, I would think people would be like, no, Cheyenne, you're right next to Colorado. Just stay away. Don't come up here. I don't know. That'll be interesting.
No, thanks.
Yeah. And then speech, I guess, has moved everything online from what I understand. And I think that was not our coach's decision. That was a big decision from elsewhere. So they usually travel a ton. They probably travel more than any one individual sports team. So they will be online. So they are making some modifications, but it's pretty much full steam ahead, like Kathy says.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I will be very interested to see what happens in a couple months' time. So look for an invitation and we'll do go-to-meeting.
So here's to hoping that we make it another couple months.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I feel for all of the educators.
I'm glad I'm not in Georgia anyway. I mean,
Amen to that.
It always can be worse, right?
This
So
is true.
far, things always hit Wyoming later than everywhere else, but I'm hoping we get off easy on this one.
Hey, Denise. Nice napkins. I think.
I had to get a new, how do I switch it back to me?
Oh. Turn your camera
I don't
around.
Anyway, hello guys. I've been listening, but yeah, obviously I don't know how to drive yet, so
That's okay.
we'll just take it off. No more napkins.
Nothing wrong with that. Your house looks cleaner than mine, for sure.
Okay, but if we're
I
going
think
to do
Mary
show and
covered a
tell-
lot of what we've got going on.
So, but if we're going to do show and tell, I'm going to show you my book. Like this.
Ooh.
Yes, it's Legos.
Ah!
Very cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
I can trade out Jack and the Beanstalk, but I really like him.
For those of you who don't have your
Little Red Riding Hood.
your webcams, yeah, she's got a Lego book. Oh my gosh, that actually has pop-up Lego scenes. That is so
Are you
cool.
checking those out?
Ideas collection. And it's what I got for my birthday this year from myself.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, are those for circulation?
No, I'm going to put them in my window at the high school because high
Nice.
schoolers need fairy tales.
They do.
Yeah.
So
All right, well, I guess that's it unless anybody has anything else that they want to share or ask about. Okay. Well, this will be recorded and stored in the WSL webinar archives if anybody wants to refer back. And again, the school library listserv is available. If you're not on it, get on it. And the SLIG Facebook, the school library group Facebook page, if you're not a part of that yet, please check it out. A lot of information is shared via that platform as well. And I think now more than ever, we need to be a close-knit community and share and try to get through this. So,
and Melissa Snyder and Megan Dingman are now the chair and co-chair of SLIG, and they are planning to do another kind of happy hour kind of thing sometime in the next couple of weeks, just to let people talk about what's working or not working, or what concerns, kind of like this, but in a probably using Zoom way of doing that. So they'll share it out on the listserv when they're ready to go.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for joining. And oh, okay. Yes, Devin, I will check that you're on the listserv. Okay. And yes, you may share any information with the others there in Natrona County. Absolutely. Yes. Share out, share widely. Well, that sounds kind of weird in this time. Share information out and share your information widely. We don't need to be sharing a whole lot of other stuff, but definitely.
Let your friends know to join our Facebook group too.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you're on Twitter, look for us. I'm on Twitter. I think Jennison's on Twitter. WDE's on Twitter. Wyoming State Library's on Twitter. So we have a Twitter presence. So if that's where you get your information, then look for us there too. But yes, it looks like we'll be in contact in the next few weeks, and hopefully everything goes well for you. And take care of you. Don't forget that, all of you. And reach out to me if you need anything. And if I can help with that, I will. So
thank you, Paige.
yes. Enjoy the rest of
you
your
all.
summer. Yeah. Yes. Thanks,
Yes,
everybody.
exactly.
It'll be till Monday. Bye.
Bye, you guys. Bye, everyone.